All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Tuesday at 10. Thank you guys for taking time out of your busy schedule to come in so we can collaborate. We can talk about what's going on. We have Josie in the house. Jennifer is here on her phone, and Elizabeth is tuning in. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with some wins. What do we have going on? Any good stuff going on in the real estate business and your personal lives, family lives? Let's go ahead and kick it off with Josie. Josie gave us some good news. What do you got? Some wins going on, Josie?
Yeah, so it's the power of EXP. So every time of is it every month? I'm not sure.
Every month?
Anyways, every month is Rev Share Day. And this month alone, I got the biggest Rev Share I've ever had, which was $605.
Woo!
And that is going to go towards like expenses and car payments and all that stuff. So it's just the power of EXP. It's the power of sharing the opportunity with people. And I'm always excited to get any revenue share, whether it be $5 or something. But I was super excited to open it up today and see that number. And even though to some other agents on EXP, it may be, like, oh, 600. I know some others are making like thousands, but I'm very happy with anything. So I'm excited.
Congratulations. And the exciting thing is it can only go up from here, and that's one thing that we tell people all the time. And Josie's been an EXP agent for a good while, a number of years, and she puts effort into sharing the model and sharing the opportunity, and now it's starting to pay off, and I'm excited for Josie to get her first revenue share check. It's going to be 1,000. It's going to be 1,500. It's going to be 2,000. And all of that is on top of her stock and on top of her commissions. So I'm really excited. That's always a huge milestone when you get your biggest revenue share check to date. That's a great accomplishment. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. So Jennifer, what's going on with you and your world? I know you got some sticky situations, but some good situations too. So what's going on your end?
Um, good situation. I've been meeting with Earl. He's a VA, and I am right now working with him to get his letter of approval before we look for houses because I have learned. And um, also I have a possible listing client, but it's sticky but good. I'm glad that I have Alan to get some advice from because it's several plots of land and then one of them with a mobile home. So it's a little complicated. And I have unfortunately one client who is non-responsive and is at risk of losing her earnest money, but all avenues of trying to communicate with her are being used and now it's up to her.
Yeah, and that's there's ups and downs in real estate, and Josie has lived through it. I've lived through it. Daniel's lived through it. I'm sure Elizabeth has lived through it. So, one thing that we have to, I give Jennifer a lot of credit. She's only been in the business. She's only been licensed now for what, Jennifer? 2 months, a little over 2 months, maybe. So,
Yeah.
sh so yeah, so she's getting a crash course in troubleshooting, in client management, in the roller coaster of real estate. So it'll get easier, it'll get better. What do we always say? That things don't get easier, we just get better. So things are not going to get easier, but you'll have the experience, you'll have the knowledge, you'll have the know-how, and you'll be able to troubleshoot any situation. And there's always new situations. So there's never a shortage of crazy curveballs in real estate, but the more curveballs we get, the better we get. So keep holding the course. Congratulations on your active clients, and I hope they turn into great deals for you. So we're going to get into a little training here in just a little bit to help everybody get some more attention because the cure for everything is more leads. You know, when you have clients that are going sideways, when you have deals that are going sideways, the cure for that is more deals in the pipeline. So we're gonna go over some attention grabbers to help you get some more attention, get some more clients. So, Elizabeth, how are you doing? Thank you for tuning in. How's everything going in your neck of the woods? What's the latest? What are some wins in your world?
Well, I still have that listing. It's across from North Star Mall on the north side of 410. And I've had some showings, but I do not have a contract. So I am working on that. I am scheduling a open house this coming weekend. The feedback has been pretty good for the most part. I got a little bit impatient, I think, last week when I asked you about feedback, because I just want to be able to. The feedback I'm receiving is that the buyers are still interested, right? So I'm trying to, share, hey, there's 3% compensation for the buyer agent. They're giving seller concessions just to kind of keep them. But, and when on that MLS questionnaire that it sends out to provide feedback, they're saying the price is right. The price is good because that's always something like, well, if it's sitting on the market, is the price really right? Right? Is the buyer really wanting to go for it? Right? So I've had three different buyers say the price is right. So the seller's not really wanting to come down more than what we've come down. We came down a little bit. So I have that. I mean, it's still, a win, right? It's still my listing. So we're there, but um, I also have a buyer and I'm trying to help them, but they are trying to stay within a monthly budget of a certain amount, and it does not exist in the area that they're looking for. So it's disheartening for them to accept that because their kids are in the certain school and they're trying to stay in this area, and their kids have grown up in this area, but they've been renting a lot. But wife is very motivated to make a move. So they're kind of going through that little transition of reality, right? Coming to reality. And so I'm giving them a little bit of space right there to concentrate on their budget and what they really need to do. And but but yes, they've been good to work with. I've been nurturing them and staying. I have a buyer rep agreement with them, but I've been in very close contact with them since the spring. So and that's kind of what this business is all about, just staying in contact with people most of all, right? And other than that, I am starting to these and I'm doing handwritten notes this Christmas. So this is what we've got. I spend probably about 30 minutes every day in the school pickup line. So that's what I'll be doing, writing my
Great,
Christmas cards early.
great, great. Well, kudos to you for that. And on another note, this is a win also. So, Jennifer sent out Thanksgiving cards. So, that was really neat. She sent Josie and I a Thanksgiving card. So there's a lot to be said about a handwritten card. So you guys are on a great path with that. I think that's going to pay dividends. Don't forget in your card, include your business card, request, ask for the business. Never be afraid to ask for the business, ask for referrals. And yeah, that's great. So good job with that. Hopefully that proves to be a good investment for you and you see some returns on that. And really there's not much we can do about these listings. We're in a situation where inventory is high, buyers have a lot of options, and as much as we try to put marketing dollars and social media minutes and videos and everything like that, there's nothing that us as agents can do to make a buyer move. There's nothing in our power to make that happen. It's gonna happen on their time whenever it's the right time, whenever the market absorbs that listing. So, keep the course. How long have you been on market with that one, Elizabeth?
Since early September.
Okay, so less than 60 days, something like that. September, October, November, something like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're well within the time frame thing. Properties are taking 3 to 6 months. Some of them are taking over, close to a year. So, don't get discouraged. I know it's hard when sellers are calling you and they want to know what's going on and what's the feedback. And, unfortunately, that's our job, is to have those hard conversations. You know, you can try whatever you can. You can try to refresh the listing. You can try to move the photos around,
Hmm.
in the MLS, just to try to jog the algorithm a little bit. You can try to freshen up the description. You can try to do little things here and there. But, if people have seen the house and they've, decided to go a different direction, or it might be out of their price point, or whatever the case might be, there's
Hmm.
really nothing we can do to force anyone. So all we can do is put best foot forward, and don't be afraid. This is one thing I've been telling Josie and Daniel. Don't be afraid to go grassroots with it. I mean, even Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, that's what I
We
did.
can't always rely on the
Hmm.
syndication and getting to realtor.com and Zillow and Trulia and all that stuff. Man, there's a lot of people on Craigslist. There's a lot of people on Facebook Marketplace. So don't be afraid to go, get in those groups, get in the neighborhood groups, get in the military groups, the ones that are PCSing San Antonio, really get in there, look for those people that are mentioning little nuggets about moving, or they're looking for something, and don't be afraid to reach out to them personally. You send them a direct message, post in those groups. So, we can try to be as proactive as we can, but again, there's nothing we can do to force anyone to do anything. And, the
Hmm.
price is the price, but buyers have a lot of options right
Those
now.
Yes,
neighborhood
definitely.
groups
That
on
definitely. Sorry, Josie.
No, it's okay. I was going to say those neighborhood groups on Facebook are super powerful because it's always people looking for their friends to move into the neighborhood, so you can reach a lot of people who are looking for their friends and family to move into the neighborhood with those. Like, people sleep on the Facebook groups, but they're really powerful.
Yeah, I had someone ask me, do you think it's a good idea? She's actually a realtor as well. She asked me, do you think it's a good idea that you're holding this open house on the weekend before Thanksgiving? And I I've done it before. I said, well, there's two ways to look at it. There's either friends from out of town or family from out of town, and they see the sign and they may just be curious to go check it out, right? But to your point, that online presence is super important. I read last week, I mean, and we all know this, but I didn't have the number at the top of my mind, but I read last week that 80% of homes that sell are because the buyers saw online, this home, right? So Facebook, Craigslist, obviously the Zillow and Realtor, that's automatic, right, for us, but 80%, it's not so much open houses, it's not so much anything else and all the other hard work that we pour our heart and soul into. It's simply online. So just getting ourselves out there online, getting before the computer screen. Everybody's on their phones, and
And
sometimes they're just sitting in the school pickup line sometimes, and they're just browsing. So it's a situation like that where I'm praying something happens there.
it's a twofold benefit to you, because yes, you're marketing the property, but you're also marketing yourself. So use it as an opportunity, use it as leverage, and make sure, if you're putting out a flyer, if you're putting out a poster, if you're putting out a video, put yourself in the video, okay? Because not only, obviously, our duty is to our sellers to promote the property, but use it as an avenue to promote yourself. And there are no bad times to host an open house. That's a 100% guarantee. I know a lot of agents that have built their entire business on open houses, and they weren't doing open houses once a month or twice a month. They were doing them 20 to 25 times a month, almost every day. When they were holding open houses during the week, they would start them at 4:30 and they would go 4:30 to 7 p.m. So there's no such thing as a bad time to host an open house. If nothing else, go to the open house, take video of yourself, get some work done, take your laptop, take your hotspot. If it's a vacant house, make sure to take a chair. You know, I've forgotten chairs before at a vacant house, but go hold as many open houses as you can, especially when you're looking to harness some more buyer business, because you never know who's going to walk in, you never know who's going to see the sign, you never know who's going to see that flag. And whether someone walks in or not, it doesn't matter. You're there, you're working. It's funny, I went to a builder here in Brownsville, and they have a spec home, and they made their spec home into their office. And they hold the spec home open. It's just like a track builder in San Antonio, like a DR Horton or something, like a sales center. But this is an independent builder. You know, they don't have the big displays and the DR Horton flags and all that other kind of. This is an independent builder. He said, "Hey, I'm here every day, 8 to 5." And that's where they office. And they're storing, materials and everything like that in the garage. So they literally are using it as their office and storeroom and warehouse and everything. And it's open every single day, 7 days a week.
I think even Joe in the La Familia group, Joe Gomez, he did a video about open houses, and it was the most hilarious video ever because he was like prepping for the open house. He's putting signs out there. And then he was just kind of making a joke about it. Like he's just sitting there on his phone and like waiting for people to come in and stuff. But he used it as an opportunity to give video. And it was a hilarious video. It got like so many shares and stuff. But so at least, it's always be recording or doing something, putting out the content, using it. Nothing's a loss. Everything's always a win somehow.
So cool. So with that being said, sounds like everyone has some good stuff going on. Keep up the good work, keep up the conversations. I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to keep the pipeline moving. We have some clients that are, going a little sideways too. And that's just a normal day in real estate. And the big thing to remember is we can't take it personally. Don't let it affect your personal life, your family time, life is too short. We do everything we can for our clients, but at the same time, there's only so much we can do. So just remember that. But in saying that, going back to what I was saying, the cure for everything is more leads. Where do you get those leads? From getting more attention, from getting more exposure. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to go over 30 sentences to use to grab attention. So when you're out there at that open house, when you're networking, when you're doing the promo for the open house or the event or a new listing or whatever it is, use these sentences to grab attention. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And y'all let me know when you can see it.
Free beer. That's always a good one to get attention.
What was that? Free tacos?
Free beer. Free beer.
Free taco. Oh, yeah. Free beer too. Yeah, of course. So let's see. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And y'all give me the thumbs up when y'all can see it. Good? Okay, cool. So this is 30 sentences to grab attention. And these are going to come from different angles. So if you see something that catches your eye, of course, the recording of this is going to be on the Familia Facebook page. I'm going to make a little segment highlighting this training. But if you see something, just kind of snap a picture with your phone and put it into play right away. Success rewards speed. So if you see something, put it into play right away. Don't think too much about it. And let's go ahead and jump right in. So I've always been taught that the best way to answer any question or to harness any attention is to ask the right questions. So think about these intriguing questions. What if I told you, and think about starting off your Facebook post, starting off your video, starting off your carousel with something like this to really get people to stop that scroll and start thinking about what you're putting out there. What if I told you that? Have you ever noticed? Want to know the one thing that changes everything? Why does no one talk about? Are you making this mistake? I'm very much, I mean, I can say that when I see questions like this, it catches my eye. So, have you ever noticed? Have I ever noticed what? You know, what what's the one thing that changes everything? I want to know what the one thing is. Now, what I would recommend is take these questions, plug them into your AI, plug them into Gemini, plug them into ChatGPT, and say, I want to focus on something geared towards VA buyers, for example. Use the first line of, have you ever noticed? Or use the first line of, why does no one talk about? And then see what happens. And you can really use that as a kickstart to get some really good content going. So here's a story starter. People love to know your story. People love to know how you got started. What have you been up to? So think about things like this. When I first started, the biggest lesson I learned, I never thought this would happen. One of my biggest mistakes was, here's how I went from the problem to the solution. I talked about it with Jennifer yesterday. She said, I never expected real estate to be like this. It's a challenge. So you could say something, when I first started, I never expected whatever the problem is, but here's the solution, or here's what I'm going through. Just be real, be raw, be authentic with it. Problem solving phrases. Here's how to fix. Struggling with this, try this. The simple way to overcome. This will change the way you think about. Finally, a solution for. All of these are great conversation starters. Post these on your Instagram. Put it on your Instagram story. Make a short 15, 20, 30-second video. Utilize these attention grabbers and really get your content some views. Get yourself out there and get your message out there. Relatable phrases. If you've ever felt like, we've all been there, you're not alone. I used to struggle with this. Here's the truth about. All of these are big time conversation starters, attention grabbers. Some bold statements. Stop doing this if you want to. This changes everything. You've been doing this wrong. I'm calling it. This is the best way. Forget what you've heard about. I made this presentation and I'm already thinking, the wheels in my head are already spinning. It's like, oh my gosh, I could do some awesome content about this. I could really put this into play. So these are all really cool to help get your message out there. Pique people's curiosity. That's a huge deal. Here's what nobody tells you. You won't believe what happened. This might shock you. Ever wondered? Most people don't know this. And then at the end, I had to throw in this super cool. Have y'all seen Step Brothers? Give me the thumbs up if y'all have seen Step Brothers. So I just threw this in for comic relief, but I saw the Step Brothers poster early this morning, and I said, man, I'm going to make my own version of it. So we're the Step Brothers. Daniel and I are the Step Brothers, even though we're not. We're real brothers. We're not Step Brothers. But selling homes is our brotherhood. These are just little things that we like to do. Pique people's interest. Get someone to laugh. Lighten someone's day. You have to remember that social media is supposed to be social. We don't always want to be out there selling, trying to convince someone, make it fun, make it light, do things that are going to bring a smile to people's face, and they'll remember that. It's funny, sometimes we'll be out there, they'll say, oh man, I saw your picture when you were, I made a picture of myself trying to look like the Terminator, and it was half robot, half my face and whatever. I said, man, I love that Terminator picture. Things like that stick with people. They resonate with people. So use those phrases, craft up some amazing content ideas, put your content out there. Don't hesitate and don't think too much about it. Josie and I struggle with this. Sometimes we want to get this transition just so, and we want to get this line, and maybe we could do it a little bit better. Do yourself a favor and just hit post. Just share it. Because Josie says it all the time. The piece of content that you put out is 100% better than what that other agent didn't put out. So get that content out there and don't be afraid, don't be nervous, and don't hesitate. What do y'all think? Did y'all see some good stuff that y'all can use and put into play?
Oh yeah. I'm over
Good.
here thinking about ways I'm going to use this to talk about the revenue share that I just
Absolutely.
got,
Absolutely.
So I was like, ooh, gonna start brainstorming with Chat GPT about that.
Absolutely. And we talk to a lot of agents and they say, well, I don't know, EXP and it's $85 a month and that's a little much and that might be a little bit of a stretch. But the way that we reframe that is we say, well, would you pay $85 a month? And now Josie has firsthand experience. Would you pay $85 a month to get $600 in return?
Mhm.
Who wouldn't do that? And even if that's not your story right now, you can say, one of my colleagues, Josie, one of my colleagues, Alan, one of my colleagues, Joe, Josh, Daniel, whoever, they're making 6, 7 times the amount of what the monthly fee is. And this just brings this to mind. I cover this in my lunch and learn every month. People say, oh, I got my first revenue share check. And we say, wow, how much was it? Say, oh, it was only $300. And they're upset about it. And we say, $300? That's the same payment as if you had, and this is just 300. Josie had over 600 this month. This is 300. When you get $300 a month in residual, that's the equivalent of having $72,000 invested, throwing off a 5% return. So we tell people all the time, do you have $72,000 invested throwing off a return? And they say no. So, well, you just got paid like you did. Because yes, these are agents that Josie has attracted. They're in her organization. But Josie, how much work did you do for that $600?
I mean,
Other than share the opportunity with the agent?
I mean, it's a lot more than just sharing an
Of
opportunity,
course.
you know. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. I personally, like once you get the agent up and running and they're good, then it's passive, but there's nothing passive about passive income, but that's a
That's
whole other
true.
conversation. But yes.
That's true. But what I love about it is those are agents that are closing deals.
Mhm.
They're going through the real estate gauntlet, right? I like to call it the gauntlet because you're going from one obstacle to the other. They finally get to the closing table, and you, as the agent that attracted them to the company, they're in your organization. The company is going to thank you with small referral fees, aka revenue share, for everything that those agents are out there doing. And every agent has the same opportunity. And really all you need is a handful of agents. So anyway, when Josie told me that, I was super excited because, not only is Josie's my everything and she helps with everything that I do, but she's also an agent that I want to pour into because I want to see her be successful. So it means a lot when she's starting to see the fruits of what she's been doing. And I love it. It really warms my heart. I was so excited. She told me about it. I ran over there and I gave her a huge high five. So I was excited for her to share it today. So anyway, what do y'all think? Anything in closing? Any questions? Any issues? Anything that y'all want us to elaborate on? Now's the time. And what I'll go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and stop recording, and that way we can open it up to Q&A in case y'all have any questions. Okay? Let me go ahead and stop this.